Greetings and salutations. Today we're going to talk about Legend of the Five Rings, which, as you can see by the cover, is a samurai game, and I have talked about it before in one of my stories. It is a mix of Asian mythologies put together to form a coherent world, and it is a chiefly Japanese mythology because you're dealing a lot with like samurai and all of that other good stuff, but it does have a little mix of other groups in there. You can choose to play from 8 major clans or a number of minor clans, and that's how you build your character. And then from there, you have 3 different types of characters: the bushi, which is the common idea of the samurai. You know, you have your katana, your armor, and you're basically a warrior for your lord. And then you have a courtier, which is the social class that deals with things at court and gets you things that you need in the course of game from other people, whether it's passage through someone's lands or permission to operate within someone's city or anything like that. And then you have your Shugenja, which is a sort of magical shaman class, which uses the power of the kami or the gods to create magical effects that can help you either in using investigations by asking the kami what's going on in the world, or can employ spells that can be used in both combat and social situations. The game itself is really solid. It works very well. There is sort of a bit of an issue when you build your character because of the way the actual system works. The way it works is that you roll it only as d10s, and you have your rings, which are earth, fire, wind, water, and void, and each one of those is linked to 2 stats, except for void, which is its own. And basically, your skills are linked to specific stats. So when you roll a skill, you roll the number you have in that skill and the number you have in the relevant stat, and you add them together, you roll that many 10-sided dice. And then you keep the number of 10-sided die that is in your stat, you add them together, and that's your final result. The problem sort of comes with, is it better to have more points in your skills, which gets you more dice, or more points in your stat, which lets you keep more dice? The problem is that getting points in stats is really easy, but getting points in skills is really easy, but getting points in stats is particularly difficult. So it becomes a question of, if you don't have any points in a skill, you can still roll it, but your dice can't explode. And exploding die are when you roll the max number on a die, you roll again and you add the result together. And if you roll max again, you add it together and then roll again until you stop rolling max. If you don't have any points in a skill, you can't explode, meaning you're left with whatever you rolled. So it is good to have skills that you want to use, but at the same time, if you have like a 2 in one of your stats and you have a skill rank of 1, you're rolling 3 die, but you're only keeping 2. And the target number for most mundane acts is 10 to 15. So if it's 10, you have a relatively good chance of making it, but if it's 15, it's very hard to make that target number. But if you work on only skills, it'll be hard for you to reach your target number, and if you work on only stats, if you come up against something that you don't know, you're just stuck with whatever you have in your ring. Adventure-wise, it can be a little difficult to come up with a long-standing adventure. You sort of have to plan your campaign out ahead of time, and a lot of your NPCs, it's not necessarily a thing that you can go step by step by step and just have the adventure of the week. A lot of times it's going to be a long-running idea. But other than that, it works out really well. Your hit points in this game are really low. and the damage output is really high. So combat comes down to a few rounds of really intense fighting, where if you get hit, you are pretty much out of luck. I mean, if you can use your void to soak 10 points of damage in a hit, but a lot of times, like, the standard damage for a katana is 3 die, keep 2. If you have if you add your strength, so if your strength is 3, then it's 5, keep 2. And if you roll a 10, it explodes. So you can roll massive amounts of damage in a single hit and just cut people down without a second thought. But they can also do the same to you. Other than that, it works out. It's a great game. I've enjoyed playing it. I've enjoyed being a part of it. I've never run it, but I think that I could if I actually sat down and put together a long-standing story. It's very good. It works really well when you have a full party, someone, or at the very least, at least one courtier. A Shugenja is not necessarily needed, but they're always useful. But like your standard good party is probably a part. If it's a party of 3, it's like 2 bushi and a courtier, or if it's a party of 4, 2 bushi, a courtier, and a Shugenja rounds out really well. Bigger parties end up sort of being able to accomplish bigger tasks, and it doesn't get too bogged down because a lot of times your actions are really quick. Unlike in certain types of Dungeons and Dragons where you're looking up spells or you're trying to look up your skills or abilities, everything is really sort of straightforward, so it's streamlined very well. Other than that, it's really good. Check it out if you like samurai. If you're not really big into the samurai genre, it's probably not for you, but go for it.